Hi there. How are you? Can you hear me okay? Wonderful. I'm Julie Kosin. I'm the senior social and culture editor at harpersbazaar.com. And today we're going to talk to Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer, the two brilliant leads of Killing Eve, which you just saw. So come on up. Welcome.
What a nice crowd. Hi. Thank you so much for coming. Everyone, yay.
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations because this is so wonderful and such a joy to watch. I've seen the first 5 episodes, so I will promise I'll keep it spoiler free for you today, even though there's so much I want to talk about. Anyway, just to get started, I've been reading the headlines today and the reviews, and it's just, this powerful women-led story about a spy thriller, blah, blah, blah. And it's amazing, obviously, but it's not just a female led show, It's just an awesome spy thriller. You guys are amazing. Your characters are amazing. It's just powerful. But at the same time, we have to say, we're not really seeing female characters nuanced like this on screen. Did it feel revolutionary to you when you got the script for the first time?
It did for me, especially because I don't feel like I've seen a female assassin type character like this on television. Usually they're really overtly sexual or using the sexuality to gain what they need to. And for me, Villanelle had a lot of humanity and a bit of wit, and I just thought that she went against a lot of stereotypes that I've usually seen portrayed on television, which I thought was really exciting. So,
really twisted sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. She is a bit dark, but I love her.
I love that scene where she is fake. We don't know who this relationship is to this man who's coming to see her, yet she's faking her own death, just for the laughs. Yeah. Casual. Sandra, how about you?
I think that's a tricky question. Do you know that it's revolutionary? I knew that I liked it. I knew that I wanted to be a part of it. I knew that I had not heard this tone and that the voice was unique, and that's what I wanted to align myself with. That it happens to be, majority-wise and in every single way led by women is also fantastic. I also don't want to shy away from it. I would like to move the conversation to be not about having to explain ourselves, that it's a brilliant and amazing thing, that it is, yes, a woman-led show. And that perspective is not an apology in any kind of way, but it's like, you're going to want to see episode 5. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? You're going to want to see it. And we spoke very briefly about that because the perspective is so uniquely not only Phoebe's, but I feel like it can only come from a female perspective, and that is what was so exciting and unique.
Can we get like a back-to-back episodes 1 through 5 screening in here, and then we'll come back to that. I want to talk about the way these characters are introduced because it really subverts expectations, like right from the start. First we've got Villanelle, who is mimicking the people around her because she doesn't know how to act like a human being, which is bizarre and so cool to see on screen. And then you've got Eve, who screaming in terror, but just has a really great sense of humor. Like, my arms are asleep. Of course they are. Everybody's woken up like that, but nobody's waking up screaming at the top of their lungs about it. If I did that...
That's the most dramatic thing that's happening in her life.
Right.
My arms fell asleep.
Exactly. So, I mean, what does that say to you? Like, oh, this is the first time the audience is meeting this character. What are they taking away from that?
Exactly. At the beginning, we see Eve, the most interesting thing in her life is that she fell asleep on her arms.
And singing Aladdin.
Yes, and that she spent time in a kind of very normal way of going to karaoke and singing, Disney show tunes. With her boss. So I think it plays in, and that also that she has quite a loving relationship, which I think is really very important. The character of Nico is very grounding for her, and it becomes much more important and is at threat. I love the intro to Villanelle. I just think it's just sets up so much of her character.
Yeah, I think it introduces you to the uncertainty of the whole show. You know, I think the show on a whole is so surprising. You think it's going one way, and then it totally does a U-turn and goes another. So yeah, I just love that scene when she's smiling at the girl, and the last thing you expect her to do is flick the ice cream over her. But that's what I love about her in a way. Like, I always thought, you know, sometimes, say if, you know, me or you, and sometimes you may think to do these things, like flick ice cream on someone, but you would never do it. But she does. So yeah, I think the uncertainty of her, and I think you automatically think, what's going on?
And I want to talk a little bit about the psychology of playing a self-described psychopath. How do you where are you getting into that mindset? What kind of preparation did you do for that? You are an actor, obviously, but it requires this whole new set of restraint because she's not reacting like a normal human being.
Yeah, and I'm quite an emotional person anyway. Like, I love a good cry, and she doesn't have that. You know, she has very little remorse, and a big hurdle for me was trying to get my head around how someone, you know, can have no remorse for what they do. So yeah, I mean, a massive help was Phoebe, because before I'd even got to film, and Phoebe knew Villanelle like inside out, and you know, Phoebe came at me with so many ideas that I would just never ever think of. But I'm still learning, honestly. Like, I didn't feel like I knew her. I still feel like I'm learning, and it wasn't until halfway through the shoot and I was like, okay, I feel like I'm getting somewhere with her, because she is so extraordinary, and I've realised the more that I run free with her, the better she is. Yeah.
And Sandra, kind of to turn that on its head, Eve has the whole gamut of emotions. When we meet her, the most exciting thing is arms falling asleep. By the end, she's trying to keep someone from bleeding to death. Yeah. And it's just such a fascinating range of emotions watching you play that, because in one second you're screaming in terror, the next you're calling your boss a dick knob?
Swab.
Squab. Dick swab.
Very descriptive, isn't it? You're thinking of it right now. Let's just move it away from our mind. Yes.
But I just wanted to talk
the English, man. So good there.
What was that like for you? You know, those quick turns, the quick punches in the script.
Challenging. Again, it's like that's the tone of the show, which I knew was like, what is that? What is that? It's going to be a challenge to play. And we talked about this a bit. We struggled with it to try and find the tone that is unbalancing for an actor to play. But I think exciting for an audience to see.
Definitely.
Definitely. You know what I mean? So
because you're not getting the sort of reaction in real time as you would in theater, as we're giving it at home, where we're literally laughing out loud at it, because it's just so absurd. But in this episode, we got a little tease of your characters interacting for the first time, and I know we're going to get a little bit more of that, but for most of the time, you two are not on screen together. So how do you develop that chemistry? Did you take a chemistry test? It's electric.
You know what? Well, we did. We did, and it was so great. It was really, really great. It was a real challenge. Basically, Jodie flew to LA for like 24 hours, girl, and we both got this 9-page scene.
Yeah, it was epic.
Yeah,
It was
like
huge.
a couple of days before, which is also why you want to see episode 5. Because
you met somebody better at marketing her show
no,
to watch it
I'm
all
serious.
the way
No,
through.
But it is for me because we met on that scene, because that's when the relationship first started happening. For me as an actor, the episode for me, the scene of the entire series is that scene. And when remember you were wheeling your suitcase, it was so.
I literally just got off a plane. I was like,
oh my
guys.
gosh, it was like a.
Luckily enough, I was up early because of jet lag, so I was up at 5:30, ready to do my meeting. Like, let's go. But no, it was amazing, and I came away from it so excited, because I feel like we'd kind of achieved a lot in that little 1 hour. That it was like, oh my God, if I do get the part and we do get to do it on set, then it's going to be be so exciting. And Sandra was amazing. Like, I had to eat in this scene. It was like a dinner table scene, and Sandra's brilliant idea was to get props, because sometimes, you know, you have to pretend you've got props, and that can be a bit tedious. So yeah, I got through a whole blueberry pie, which I'm very proud of. Yeah.
I cannot tell you, this meeting and this test was as lo-fi as possible. We're in this tiny crappy room in the valley, and I kid you not, I'm putting up boxes to put a camera so that they can Skype her, like they're FaceTiming her.
Phoebe was on
Yes,
Skype.
and then I'm
Colin,
putting
the
my
producer.
phone closer to her just to try to get a better angle, and then we had props all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's also like, you know, it's we're meeting each other to see. It's like, how do you play? You know, how do you think this can be? And I feel like we both really enjoyed it, and mostly felt like that was a good day of work.
That's
was
what
really
I said.
good.
I felt like I'd come away and like done a day's filming. I was like, if I don't get it, I'm going to be absolutely devastated. But I also feel like I've gained so much from the time that we've just spent in the room. So yeah.
So did you have as much fun on set as it is to watch the show?
Yes.
You go.
I know I did. Yeah. Especially like as the series progresses, she just gets more and more Villanelle. You know, I love her. So I every day was amazing, especially because she was playing all these different characters. You know, some days you would be going in and doing a different accent or language, or you'd have a wig on. So it was always really, really fresh. And then just seeing the relationship between the two women progress and finding out where it was going was super exciting.
Now, when you are approaching your character, we talked a little bit about this backstage. When you're reading the script, are you building a backstory up in your head of what this character has been through, or are you reading straight to the text, like, this is what's happening, I can't think beyond that? How do you approach this role in particular?
Yeah, for me, it was super important to know where she'd been and to try and figure out why she was the way she was and where she'd come from. So I had like really good long chats with Phoebe. Phoebe had like a timeline that she'd already made up of maybe events that had happened in her life and what happened to her family. And we sat down and went through it and made up all these different things. I've got it in a little folder. So that was just always, if I wanted to look back on, I could take from that. But then, yeah, once we got the scripts, it was really about picking the scripts apart, really, yeah.
And it was fast. It's fast. Television is fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the journey of Eve is so interesting because when you meet her, even in the first episode, she's got this mundane life. She clearly wants more. We don't know where this drive is coming from. Like, not everybody goes into life wanting to be a spy. Sure, it looks cool, but you're up against this terrifying situation, life or death. What does that journey look like in Eve's head when she starts the series?
Well, she doesn't really have that in her head at all, and really she gets really sucked into it. Like it's very much stumbling towards and falling into the rabbit hole, you know, and she goes all the way. I think it's just going to continue on falling. So I think it's more almost like in real time. It's like what I also really like about playing Eve is that she doesn't know why exactly, or she's not ready to admit why she's doing what she's doing and what the drives are that are the instincts, where the drive is coming from. And I always find that very, very interesting to play. I feel like myself as an actor, I feel like I need to know that. I need to know that from a deep, very personal place that I'm not going to share with anybody. Because that's what I want to work on. It's like, what do I want to work on? What does it mean to me as a woman in her midlife? What does it mean to kind of plateau? What does it mean to have, a beautiful force kind of shake up your vitality? What does it mean to have lost touch with your vitality? So those are the things I'd say in a kind of juicy actor kind of way that I've kind of been exploring. And in some ways it's much more immediate. I'm not necessarily planning these things, but it's like almost more symbolically, you know, what does Carolyn mean to me? Oh, can we just talk about Fiona? Can we talk about Fiona Shaw for 2 seconds? Okay, I got a good story. The first time I met Fiona, I completely geeked out because I saw her Medea here in like 2000. And did anyone see that? Did anyone see that? Oh my God, it was so fantastic. And I came up to her, it's like, oh my God, Michelle, I saw you on Broadway. And then I actually did her last beat because I remember it so well. So I was so thrilled when she came onto the show. But it's just like things like that. What does it mean for you as an actor to work with Fiona? And not in a kind of like, oh, here's this person with it, but like, what does it mean to inside? Yeah.
When you're developing your character, is there a certain moment where it just sort of clicks for you, where you're like, okay, I know, I think I know who she is. I don't have her yet. I've got, you know, months of filming to get there, but I've got a hold on her.
Honestly, I didn't feel that till, like, it sounds terrible, but like episode 5. And yeah. She's so complicated, and she's always contradicting herself, and
it's a very, very tricky part.
yeah.
It's a very, very tricky part. But I see what you're saying, because it's almost like our characters are so involved with each other, but the actual playing side by side,
Yeah.
it's not like we played together every day. Right. But as we would check in every so often, an episode would happen that we would have a scene together, I could feel us, or else I would have people tell us how much as we continued on, how much more deeply we kind of were in it.
And I could definitely feel that, you know, and I think as the episodes progress, I can definitely see that.
Right. I mean, it's a huge challenge to have your adversary not always in the scene with you. You have to kind of play this tension where you don't know where she is.
Yeah, exactly. Not so easy. For me, though, I will say my character was my handbag. That handbag, my God, I love that prop so much. And it's surprising. You kind of don't necessarily know where that will come, whether it's like you pitch your voice somewhere, or you have can we?
Spoilers! It's real.
Did I have it? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Oh my God, it's such genius.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a bit like
Been like this the whole time.
Because it's very. Anyway, you talk about it. No, but for me, you don't know where it comes from. For me, it was my handbag, and for some reason, Eve carries her handbag like this. I mean, I don't do that, but it was the floppiness, the unformedness.
Is Eve insecure?
What?
Eve is insecure about it.
I feel like it's just representative a lot, and I called it my TARDIS. I shoved so much stuff in there, but I felt like when I had that handbag, it's like you slip into something that the handbag made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because one thing that I felt when I first read about Villanelle, like I felt like she would have like a really strong scent, you know, like you would have a real strong perfume. So I like went on a hunt for a perfume, and then this perfume you could smell from like a mile away. So everyone was like, "It's Jodie." But I wanted that. I just felt like she would have a really strong smell. So yeah, I kept that in my trailer, and that's what I had with me every.
I gotta tell you, it works so much for me as well. And no, the reason why, and it's tricky because you can't see scent, obviously, right? But it's such a powerful sense. And when because I relate it to Villanelle, it affects you emotionally, very much so. And even one time, either something came from wardrobe or whatever, and I was like, I can't wear it. It smells too much like Villanelle. You need to launder it, because it's like I wouldn't wear it. You know, I wouldn't wear it.
You can't be reminded of her in that scene.
No, I can't be. But I always thought that was such a great like you know, you have the scent. It's very, very personal.
I totally forgotten about that.
Well, I didn't.
I'm glad you reminded me.
That's great. I just thought it was
Villanelle
great.
has a flair for the drama. She just killed somebody with a hairpin.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, especially with Villanelle, for me, like a huge thing was going against my instinct all the time, which that's what I struggled with. Was my instinct at the start was always a bit off. You know, like Phoebe is amazing at finding the light in what seemed to be quite dark, serious moments. So there was a lot of times when she'd run in and she'd be like, try it the other way, like flip it completely on its head. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And it would work so much better. And if there's anything I've learned from her is to don't be
Not
scared.
trust your instincts.
Yeah. You're wrong. No, but like, try it a different way and don't feel silly about it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's no big deal. But like, let go of the fear, you know? So yeah.
Sandra, I want to talk to you a bit because you have an associate producer credit on this piece. So why did you want to get involved with it on that level, and did it affect the way that you see the filmmaking process?
Good question. I think for me at this point in my life, to work on television, which is a living, breathing thing, the relationship with the writer is so important. And how you can collaborate. My previous experience ended up being very, very collaborative, and I don't want to give up that way of working. And to assure that was very important to me, and that's why I asked for that. And regarding the filmmaking way, it's just like I realized that I think I might actually know how to make films, and so to be able and to have a voice and for people to be interested in your opinion, and actually that your opinion is not too bad. Was a very, very exciting place to step into, and I am very grateful that they were, Sid Gentle and BBC America and Phoebe were open to that, because it's just like you just have another person, who is on deck and wants to make a great project. So it's like, let me give, and I was grateful that they let me.
And I want to talk a little bit about Phoebe's role. Obviously, she wrote the whole piece, but when you have a movie, for example, your writer is stepping away after the script is done for the most part. But Phoebe was clearly collaborative on set every day. Can you talk about her influence on the role just beyond the actual text?
So just to be clear, we had a few writers, right? But she did overall passes on the 8 episodes. So I don't want to not acknowledge the writers who also wrote. She is a busy lady, and I think that Jodie and I would have loved for her to be on set every day. But that was just not possible, and it's also not necessarily the way that they work in the UK. It's not. It's like for us in the States, we have our writer on set all the time, and that's just not the same way. But her presence was always hugely felt.
She was always like, ever got a question, ring me up. Yeah. Anything, and even if you think it's so tiny, if you're unsure of something, ring me up and we can, talk through it. And she's brilliant, and she knows the characters so well. Sometimes if you're thinking, have I got a question, she was always the person who you could, go and ask.
Sandra, was an adjustment working in the UK after spending most of your career in the US? Working in the
Sure. I wouldn't say it's an adjustment. Again, always trying to find a more positive outlook. It was super exciting and different. Yeah. And different. And I also really like holding that as Eve on this show. She is the American perspective. We're looking at it through her eyes. So you always have so she's a fish out of water. She's little outside. So she's a little bit behind, let's say.
She fakes it till she makes it every time.
Yes.
She has to use the loo. Yeah. She has to get a cup of tea. I love it.
And it's nice to play a character who has been there for a while, whose partner is English, you know what I mean? So who's integrated in a certain respect, but let's say not fully. It's always a great position to play a character from, yeah.
And going back just to, you were having this associate producer credit and looking at it, you're looking at something not only with the little granular, this is my character, this is what I have to focus on, but also you're looking at it in the broader sense of the entire production. Did that change the way that that you approach acting, which is where which was up until this point your first priority?
That's a good question. No one has ever asked me that question. I think much more in a holistic way. You know, it's like, and it's great that that when growth actually happens, you know, that you can actually move into a project that is asking more of you, that is letting you be more of yourself. And so, yes, you can go from the, trust me, minute, small, like what is this water bottle mean to me? How am I imbuing this water bottle? To then like, what is the tone of the show? How can I help speak to directors or fellow cast members to help the coherence of the tone of the show? So I would just say probably more broadly, and having to kind of switch up and down, because I guess I will say as an actor I really like just kind of being so focused and just doing that. And sometimes, you know, in a producer role, you have to kind of zoom out. But that's been a great exercise. Yeah.
Did your work on, I mean, obviously you have the producing side, but did for either of you working with such unique and nuanced characters, does that affect the way that you look at future projects?
I'm like, the more nuanced, the better for me. That's why I hate the term, like, you know, some people say, what is it like to play a strong female character? And I'm like, these women are so layered and flawed, and that's what makes them strong as an actress to play, is because you get to explore all these.
They're tricky.
Yeah, exactly. I hope I get to play her forever. Yeah. I would literally play her into old
both
age.
Of you.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can.
I'm still chasing you.
Still not got it yet.
I still haven't
I think you guys just got yourselves hired for the next like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So,
you know, but to answer your question, for me, I feel like to finally work on, to find, yeah, it's like how you look at your work from this point on. Yes, it took me a long time to get here, you know, and I only want to continue growing. You know what I mean? To be able to work with such talented people on project that I really, really believe in, I'd rather wait, say no, do other work in other ways than to sell myself short in any kind of way. I know that I'm able to say that because I'm at a certain point in my career where I can make choices, but to be able to make the choice, I would only make the choice to be involved with projects of this level and this caliber.
yeah, that's so exciting to hear. All right, we have a couple audience questions and then we can wrap it up. So this is from Jesse Schwartz, and her question is for both. Oh, his question. Hi, Jesse. He said, what challenges arose for you in working on this character, and how did you overcome them?
I would say again, the going against my instinct was huge, because, you know, they say that's the biggest thing for an actor, is trust your instinct. So it was, it just felt a bit unnatural, but then it was also trusting the process and trusting that it was going to work. For me, that was my biggest challenge on this particular role.
You know, I think for me, it was the workload and the stress management. You know, I mean, it's a full-on gig, and I was away from home. I think that was the most challenging thing. I was like a monk. No dairy, no drinking, no sugar. You know, because if I didn't stay like a pure and like focused and 8 hours of sleep, I would fall off. I know myself well enough now that it's just like, if I'm not getting those key things and I need to work getting it, it's like this. It's like I want to be completely present on set. I want to be prepared. So all I'm doing is being with you, right? And that takes work. I love doing it, but I would say that was the most challenging part.
Do you remember when we went for the meal before we even started filming, and we were like, right, when we get to block 1, we're having a big night out, and we were like, woo, yeah!
Between is back,
Yeah.
yeah!
And then it got to the end of block 1, and we were like, bed? Yeah. See you next week. It was like, yeah. Languages also, I didn't speak any languages, so the fact that
How amazing
does,
she?
I was like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yes.
I just remembered. Yeah. So that was another. That was another thing.
Talk about playing like 15 characters in one episode.
So exciting.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was fun. It was, but as well, because it was spread out and, you know, so many weeks and months, I just wait till I get an episode and I'd be like, what is she going to do? What colour's her hair going to be? Like, what's her accent? What's her language? So yeah, that's all Phoebe. Phoebe's genius.
So I have a question for Sandra from David, and he wants to know, do you still remember your theater training days? If so, what do you most take from them to the screen, if anything at all?
Where's David? Oh, David left.
I see him up there.
Oh, hello, fellow Canadian. Theater training, it's like, I'm sure people are here, if you're from the theater, you know how to work, right? You know how to work. It's the work ethic, you know what I mean, that I came from, and then, you know, I spent the past 4 years doing like 3 plays, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's that, the preparation, I think, to then be completely free. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, by the time like you're doing a play a billion times, it's like you already know it. It's in your body. So I'm just looking up there. Sorry, I don't even know how. Hopefully I'm looking at you. But like, you know, it's like you are the whole thing. Not just this, right? Top to bottom is flowing. It's all communicating the character, right? And then you're just totally open to react to whatever, to be present. And I think the theater is, you cannot lie. So I feel like for me, that work ethic and the ability and the knowledge of that's how you learn how to be present. That's how you practice to be present. That's where I took my theater and brought it here.
Okay, last question, and a good one to end on. From Dexter, what was the best moment of filming?
Oh. You want to think?
I just want to watch them on screen forever. They're just so much fun.
A huge, again, going back to episode 5, is a huge, I don't know what I can say and what I can't say. It's just, it's a huge moment because it's the first time that, I can say that, right? No?
No.
I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna send this question to Sandra. No? No, okay. No. What was my favorite moment? I'm gonna have a think of my other moments.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was more. There was many.
I can tell you one of my favorite moments is also, if you've seen the trailer, I'm not giving anything away. There's a moment where Eve smashes something. I fought for that scene. I didn't want to let that scene go. Because he's like, also in television, things run long, things that don't seem to potentially have obvious meaning, but for me as an actor, has a huge amount of meaning. That moment for me, not so much was the favorite filming, but was one of my favorite moments and scenes. Yeah.
Can't wait to see it. I'm not sure if I've seen it now. I'm like, I don't know. How about you, Jodie?
When I climbed up the drain pipe. That's what I just remembered. Yeah.
Do you do your own
I did
stunts?
it. I did my own stunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a proud, that was a proud moment. I couldn't believe that I did it. I was like, I'm so uncoordinated and very clumsy, so there's a lot of, probably a million outtakes. No, there was like one where I had to like, just flip a knife out. Just flip the knife out, and I was there for a good 10 minutes. So they were really great at the editing on this show. So yeah, I was so proud that
What
I
about the
did that.
suitcase? Were you literally in a suitcase?
Oh yeah, I was in the suitcase, so yeah. Oh,
And Jodie's
I
tall.
agree.
She's tall.
I looked at my
Yes, I am
suitcase in my
tall.
room and I was like, no, that's never happening.
Yeah.
No, it's just,
We did it
dream.
right before action. I was like, guys, I can't be in here any longer than I have to. So, yeah.
Well, Sandra, Jodie, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And come back for episode 5.
Yeah.